Hi Fast Track Buddy friends, welcome back to the quarterly update. This is for the HDB section, right? Again, I'll go through with you what happened in the last quarter, how the market could be possibly moving forward and what you can do about all this information, at least to plan for your own housing needs. I think we have been facing with a lot of news recently, right? This is for HDB flat resale prices rose for the 20th straight month in February, right? Volume fell by 22%. And then you have HDB resale prices rises again for the 21st straight month, where Pinnacle flat sells for a record 1.38 million. All right, this would be a 5-room flat, and the next article is Pinnacle 4-room flat sells for 1.228 million. Oh my goodness, guys! I am personally very worried about this. Right? How about you? Let's take a look at some of the statistics. So you can see. Here basically tells you what has been changed. I've shown this to all of you before. Back in 2020, we actually have a 4.9% increase, and for the whole of 2021, we did a 12.3% increase. Now, when you see this 12.3% increase, do take note that the actual increase is much higher, because I'm just adding on the quarter increase here. But if you were to take basically the total increase of 155.7 and 138.1, which is a yearly increase, it will be a much higher percentage. Yeah? And now, of course, we have finished the first quarter of 2022, and we have now have an increase per quarter on quarter of 2.4%. Okay, from this chart, you can see this is we are already at the, or rather last quarter, we are at an all-time high, right? Now we are at 159.5. The last peak was at 149.4. Last quarter, we have already hit high, but now we have moved even higher, right? And I think this is expected from the discussion that we had the last time. From what we talked about the cooling measures back in December, we know that it will not have much of an impact on the HDB market. Let's take a look at some of the transaction volume. So this was what we did back in third quarter 2021, right? I was actually mentioning that at the time, we've already achieved a 27,000 volume of transactions, and I was actually expecting in excess of 31,000 for the entire 2021. And in quarter 4, we achieved a 7,940 transactions that came up to a total volume of 31,017 back in 2021. And I think you will also know that 2021 is a year filled with a lot of transactions, both in the private sector and in the public sector. For this quarter, 2022, we have achieved 6,934, right? And you will notice that basically it is really not far off from the first quarter of 2021. And for me, I feel that if nothing is going to be done to cool the HDB market, I expect the volume to be in excess of 28,000 this year, with another possible 8 to 10% for the entire year of price increase. Now let's take a look at the supply of new BTOs. This was also mentioned last year, where they promised to have 17,100 flats launched this year. And I'm really glad that they use this strategy to kind of fill up the buyer's demand in the market, right? And they increase it by 5,000 a year. So for the next 2 years, not total, for this year, next year, we expect a 23,000 BTOs to be available for all of you to choose from. And I hope it will fill up the void, yeah? Okay, so these next few slides, for those of you who have actually watched my past videos on the quarterly updates for HDB and private, so the slides are relatively about the same. For this actually shows you basically the demand for those eligible for BTOs, all right? So I'm not just showing you to show you the trend back last year in 2021, February, right? This is the trend. You can see that the application rate was at 3.7 for the various projects here. And then in May of 2021, right, increased to 4.5. Obviously, the main favorite has always been a 4-room flats, yeah. And then you have in 17 August, all right, the rate increased up to 5.8, right? And now this will be for 2nd of June, right? So it's just recently. The number of applications here you can see is really quite a lot. You're talking about an availability of 200 over units with 1,000 over applicants and 3,000 over applicants, right? This will be a combination of second and first timers, right? And then here you have the application rate. And then you have another one, which is a Bukit Merah and Queenstown. These two has been mentioned in the press, right? These two for Bukit Merah and Queenstown will be classified or rather placed under the prime location housing scheme. Yep. And you can see the demand is almost as crazy as in Rochor. For the 4-bedroom here at Bukit Merah, you're talking about 6,000 over applicants compared to only 1,000 over units. But it has also generally brought down the application rate for first-timers to 3.2. So it seems that the first-timer has a better chance to get a unit over here. Maybe they can get a queue number, right? But to me, today's market is really crazy. All the fear of continued price increase. Multi-million price tags for private properties in prime locations. So naturally, there is this push for you to try for a PLH. But before you make a lifetime decision you cannot walk away from, please take note of what you're exchanging it for. That is 15 years of time. So imagine this, if this scheme was available in the past, back in 2007, and finally this year you reach your MOP, what are you going to do? The real estate landscape is totally different. Cooling measures that did not exist then has now taken on improved versions. So the question is it worth it? Or will you be stuck? So moving on, this will be the supply for the non-BTO buyers. So basically, if you are not eligible for BTO because of your income or your SPR or you're downgraded from a private property, these are all the other restrictions that you face, isn't it? Then I would like to know, and I want you to also have a look, or at least you have some knowledge of where you are able to get good supplies, especially those that have just MOP. Right? So this was done in my last video, and it seems that all this data is taken off Edge property, and I'm not so sure why. I just did this recently, and there has been a change of some of the number of units, right, for this year. And previously it was 9,000, but now there's some increase. Bukit Batok has increased to 2,331 units. Okay, this is what. Okay, all these units means that these are the available units, a mixture of 3 rooms, 4 rooms, and 5 rooms. Right? For the 1 and 2 bedrooms, I actually took it out entirely. And there's a new estates that has been introduced, will be Hougang, Tampines, Jurong West, and Toa Payoh. So this will be for all of you who really want to get a HDB property. You do not want to get a property with a low number of lease balance left for your exit strategy, and therefore you want to get something which is relatively newer, and the best would be a MOP unit, isn't it? So these are some of the estates that you can actually look into. I'll put in the link at the comment section or in the description for you to go in, and you're able to find out which classes of units are going to be the MOP and by which month of MOP they would be this year. And as of now, 2023, based on the data, there is 0 units available, okay? So anyway, this is a short video. The conclusion is that this is again taken off from the last discussion. I personally believe that the HDB cooling measures that was introduced in December has no teeth in it. It's not going to have much of an impact, and the demand for HDB will continue to grow in 2022. And this is really true for SPRs converting to SCs, and in fact, I would like to share with you guys that not just the SPRs, in fact, the WPs, right, the other pass holders are requesting to be upgraded to S pass so that they can too apply apply for a PR-ship to buy a property in Singapore, right? And they are also going for HDB properties. This is definite for the new MOP clusters. I think it's rare, right? You have very new properties in matured estates where there are so many older properties. Obviously, the new clusters will continue to outperform the older clusters, right? This I think is possible, but at the same time, I felt that it might not be a very good strategy, especially for people or those of you who wanted to didn't want any more mortgage, so you sold off your BTOs and kind of bought a older property, right, because of its size, and you want to pay it off at one time or take a very small loan. I think real estate housing is something which is very important for all of us to understand more in depth, and you got to know that every decision you make is going to have a different outcome, and make sure that it's something that you and your family are fully aware of, and is that the only option available to you before you hastily make the decision. First timers still active in the HDB market. This is very, very true because of the long wait for the BTO, for the keys. Yeah. Right, I've changed this. New inventories in the market remains low. Right, it's kind of moderate now. You're throwing in 23,000 units every year. I think it's very good, but unfortunately, this will always remain an issue for HDB BTO because people are all buying for own stay and they want to get the keys immediately, right? And therefore, I think the long wait to receiving a keys is always a problem, and in the short term, I do not think prices is going to come down, right? It's very different from the private housing because for private housing, some of them could have already owned a HDB, right? Or they have bought a property under one name. And if you really wanted to get a property today, you have no other choice, please do work on this strategy and work out your sums. And if you're able to buy under a person's name, that's perfectly, I think that'd be a very good strategy. And then the other person is able to buy the private property in future. Yes, this is the best time for MOP or resale owners to move into the private market. I feel that HDB, personally, I feel it is overpriced. Right? Pinnacle at $1 million over price tag, and many other properties in Singapore. I feel that the sellers are the smarter ones. All right, no offense to the buyers. I guess all of you buy for different reasons. But in terms of wealth accumulation and in terms of the right strategy to go into the market, especially if you are very well aware that of all the ABSD and all the cooling measures, I think coming out with a good plan, at least for the next 10 years or 15 years for you and your family, would be very, very apparent, and I think it's something that you can spend more time to discuss about, right? And if you are looking to sell your property and move into a private property and you want to have a sense of what you should buy and how you should go about doing it, look at or watch this video. I'll put it up over here. I actually had a review on a private market, and I gave some insights and ideas on what type of properties you can actually buy. All right. So with that, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.